mean, it's all the same. Sam Harris, I don't mean singling you out. You're no different than Kant. And you're smart. You're really smart people. You're smart at convincing yourself.
You want to talk about practical philosophy. You want to talk about the contradictions that's driving all these quote-unquote philosophers into a mind out of focus because they can't reconcile the contradictions. They consider themselves rationalists. They consider themselves reasonable individuals, the ability to use reason to make arguments. And they are rational. We all are. We're rational creatures. Reason is our epistemology, but they can't reconcile their inherent contradictions, and so in doing so, they believe that reality doesn't exist and that it is just in their consciousness, because in their consciousness they have not been able to achieve that in which reality other people have achieved through their philosophies. And so they rationalize themselves into the idea that consciousness is primary to existence, and it has to be for them because they have to remove consciousness from identity. That's so abstract. They need to. They believe as the reasonable, rational person believes that it is possible. But because they themselves have not been able to achieve it as measured by objective reality, as in I open my eyes, I perceive this reality, and in it, I have not been able to reconcile the contradictions to live a more purposeful, joyful life and find the answers for myself. So therefore, there must not be an answer. Oh, there is no answer. Oh, no, there is an answer, but it's different for every one of us, and it exists within our own mind. A way of evading reality so that you yourself can have your own reality, and then the justification of it through this idea of this primacy of consciousness, and you can never know reality. You can never know reality. Question your senses, question your sense perception, because if we can't, we try to invalidate sensory perception as a way to perceive that which exists, which is the definition of consciousness. And so it's so complicated, and they make it that way because it's their moat, it's their level of protection against just the rational man, just rational, principled philosophy versus your fabrications of concepts and distortions of reality to destroy the mind, to tell people that you cannot rely on the mind, to try to use the mind to destroy the mind, or to say there is only mind and there is no reality, or it's a subjective reality, is a way to evade it. Why would you evade it? Because in it, you yourself have not achieved what you thought you were capable of, so no one else can, regardless of how much you've achieved. But you've achieved it on the backs of, on the souls of. You've achieved it on the souls of those in which you want to control, because you yourself are impotent and you have no efficacy in which to navigate objective reality. You create your own subjective reality in which you are Mickey Mouse in your Walt Disney world of metaphysics and your epistemology based on storytelling, mysticism, and fantasy and faith. The ideas of an ideal world other than this one that you cannot truly know unless, and then you get into religion. I mean, it's all the same. Sam Harris, I don't mean singling you out. You're no different than Kant. You're no different than a Hume. You're no different than Plato. You're no different than any one of these other idealists, rationalists, materialists, all of them in their own ways with their own inherent contradictions, all struggling to take some sort of innate idea and to then prove it to everyone else. And you're smart. You're really smart people. You're smart at convincing yourself. And you've done so much to convince yourself that it won't take that many other... You're smart people. There's no doubt about smartness, intelligence. We all are. But it's just the way in which you deny and you steal concepts and you state contradictions and you try to reconcile things only for the only reason that's because you already held that belief. So everyone else should believe it. If I believe it, it's true. That's what it's come to. I mean, you're a child who's like, well, if I believe it, it's true, and here's all the reasons why. Here are all the reasons that you can't tell me it's not true. No, man. The burden of proof is on the person who asserts it. The onus of proof is on the person who asserts that a thing exists, not to say that you can't tell me it doesn't exist in some alternate metaverse. And then we get down that whole road, man. Anytime you put a primacy of if it's I can think it, so just because you can think it doesn't mean it's possible within physics. So then you say, well, in other realities. And then you go on to what? To just like thought experiment all this stuff. Cool, man. Cool, man. I got a hypothesis. I mean, watch some Netflix. What if? Yeah, what if? And then go on to prove it. And then go on to use science as an error-correcting mechanism in the search for truth, to find good explanations about the nature of our reality, to create technologies in abundance for humanity. It's not that difficult. Why do you make it so?